Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, we're going to have a look at the elite section of this brand new Necron Codex. So I'm making this video when the Codex has just literally come out, just having an overall feel for this particular section of the book. We are going to have a closer look at individual units as and when, once we've gone through the new learning curve. But yeah, first of all, I just want to go through this and maybe just do almost like a review and see how things have changed and how we're going to progress forward with the Necrons. Okay, so the first unit that I want to tackle is the flayed ones. Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that I have 60 flayed ones. I have a flayed one themed army. I've had great success with it. I've only lost one game with that army. But obviously things have changed, the way we take things have changed, so I need to re-evaluate the actual list itself, but individually looking at flayed ones, how have they changed? Okay, well, stat wise they haven't changed at all, same ballistic skill, weapon skill, etc. But they now have, which, let's face it, they should have it, they now have 2 flayer claws. They do have their hands with these like huge scythes. Yeah. So now they have 2 of those. So basically they have 2 weapons. So they get an extra attack. So they have their standard 3 attacks. They now have 1 for 2 close combat weapons. And if they charge, they have another one. So that is 5 attacks. So if I have a unit of 20, that's 100 attacks, assuming no one dies before I get in or from Overwatch. They still have their 4+ save, so that is exactly the same. Now, not only do they have more attacks, but their attacks are now Shred. The Shred special rule, which lets you re-roll all failed to wound rolls. So there's 100 attacks. The weapon skill 4s are going to be needing 4s on most things. And then their strength 4, so they're going to need 4s to wound, and they can re-roll them. Sounds really, really good. They do have, of course, the deep strike special rule. They can infiltrate. They have reanimation protocol. They now have fear. Now, they used to have something that if somebody wanted to assault them, they used to have to take a leadership check, and if they failed, they couldn't assault. But now they have fear. To be fair, fear does absolutely nothing for me personally, because I generally play against Marines. They're Space Marines, Blood Angels, Grey Knights, no effect. But if you were in an environment where you are playing against units that aren't fearless, they don't have the shall know no fear special rule, they could potentially be quite useful for that. Okay, so I mean that's basically their main things. Previously, I was attaching a Destroyer Lord with them, with an orb, allowing me to have +1 to my RP roll. Can't really do that now. The Destroyer Lord, arguably it can still be done, but I don't think it's absolutely necessary. I need to have a look at the Decorium format. There is a formation with 1 unit of flayed ones. So if I can get the Reclamation Legion with the 3 units of flayed ones in that list, it means that I can have a 4+ RP roll. That's good. A 4+ save, a 4+ RP roll, extra attack on the charge, Shred special rule. These guys have gone up. I assume once again GW have decided they want to sell more flayed ones. They probably haven't sold that many, so they've made them slightly better. Yeah, so as a long time flayed one fan, loved the models. I think it's great having close combat units in what is basically a shooty army. So I'm really happy to see them get buffed. Okay, so that's those. Right, next up I want to look at these models. Now you may be wondering what these are potentially. These are the old Pariah minis, and I have to say, probably my most favourite Necron mini. I absolutely love this mini. Of course, they got rid of that unit in the last Codex. They introduced some new units. I think we got away quite lightly with what they did with the previous Codex. Just one unit's gone. Sadly, it was my favourite unit. Okay, so what did they do? They basically introduced Light Guard and Praetorians, which were like the two equivalents of these guys, really. The Light Guards and the Praetorians have both changed dramatically. They've changed dramatically in their points. They are a lot cheaper. They're so cheap now that even I, who've never used Light Guard, never used Praetorians, even I am considering using them. Now, these guys here that you see, I usually stand these in for death marks, because I use death marks a lot and I don't have the death marks model. So, you know, my buddy knows that the death marks, so I am now considering actually purchasing some, especially Light Guard or Leech Guard, however you want to pronounce it, because for me that unit looks fantastic now. If you take the Hyperphase Sword and the Dispersion Shield, you get a 3+ invulnerable save. And these guys have come down dramatically in points. They're only 25 points each. That sounds really good to me. They can go in a Night Scythe. And, I mean, their weapon is going to be an AP3 melee weapon at their own strength. So the Strength 5, AP3, is a pretty decent weapon. You could, yes, not have the 3+ invulnerable save, and you could go with the Warsigh, which gives you AP2. But for me, the 3+ save, that is good. You know, a Necron unit with a 3+ save, I can see that unit working quite well. So yes, they've lost some of these special rules where they used to be able to like reflect stuff with their shields and stuff, you know, but they've gone down so many points. And in the Reclamation Legion, there is, I think there's an option to take the Light Guard in there. Can't remember now, but they're definitely in one of the formations. But I'm pretty excited about these, so I'm definitely going to start having a look around and see if I can get some Light Guard minis. Praetorians, again, another unit I've not used. They're basically the guys with the jump pack infantry. So they're the fast moving unit. They have come down considerably in points once again. 140 points for 5, pretty reasonable. They had their Rod of Convenience, Covenant, which is Strength 5 AP2, two-handed weapon. You can change that for Void Blades, which is their own strength, so you'd be like Strength 5, Rending and Entropic Strike with an AP4. And they can take Particle Casters, and once again they can go in a Night Scythe. So they're very similar to what they were, but they are definitely a lot cheaper. I possibly will be looking to try them out this time. I didn't want to try them out in the last Codex. I actually quite like the minis. So that's another unit that Games Workshop have very well done, basically, for making me want to buy more units. I mean, I've got a lot of Necron models, but this new Codex, well done GW, you've made me want to get more models. So you've done your job quite well. Okay, so let's go to the back there with the big monstrous creatures, and that's the Katana Shards. You may or may not know about my guy in the middle there. That is my Void Dragon conversion that I did. Started life off as a Nightbringer, as one of these there. So I converted him up. Now, when I originally opened the book on that very first video that I did, I commented that I was quite happy to see that the Nightbringer and the Deceiver were back in the Codex as named shards. Because in the previous Codex, they basically got rid of the actual Star Guards themselves. They made them shards, and they were a lot cheaper, lower in stats. but you could individualise them and take different pieces of war gear to make them all unique. And I was using that to give me sort of a Deceiver equivalent, a Nightbringer equivalent, and then I had my Void Dragon, which is one of the Lost Star Guards. I think he's trapped on Mars. And I had a 3 Catan list. It was great fun to play, very difficult to play, but it was good fun. I'm sort of thinking twice now, because now they've put the Nightbringer in and the Deceiver in. Yes, there's the Transcendent Catan, but that's in the Elite section. Oh, sorry, in the Heavy Support section. There's nowhere there for my Void Dragon. I can't get him in. The only way I can do it is, I suppose, taking like dual FOCs and then maybe using the stats of the Nightbringer. But I'm not sure I can do that actually. Is it unique? Don't think it's unique. I'll have to check that in the book. But anyway, yeah, I've got lots to consider there for my 3 Catan list. I'm not sure how doable that is anymore. But that's irrelevant. What we're actually looking is how good the Catan is. So the Nightbringer and the Deceiver now have different stats. And they've gone up slightly in their stats. They have good they basically have good weapon skill, good toughness, good strength. Sadly, they are only 4 wounds, and sadly they only have a 4+ save. So they still have the age-old problem that they've always had, in that they can actually be shot down quite easily. Having said that, they do have a few other options with the cryptics, etc. Attaching a cryptic to them, using the Veil of Darkness. You can get that Nightbringer in your opponent's face right at the beginning of the game. They do have some options. In terms of their powers, the powers are now random. Most of the powers are pretty good, to be fair. I mean, it is situational. You may possibly target a unit that you get a bad power for, but on the whole the powers are actually really good, and I think the random power element was going to make these guys a lot more fun. They do of course have that the Deceiver has its own power and the Nightbringer has its own power, plus they have the Catan powers as well. I'm liking it. I think it's good, it's fun. It might bring the Catan back on the table a little bit more, which would be good to see. So I'm looking forward to trying those out. Okay, lastly we're going to have a look at the Triarch Stalker. Now the Triarch Stalker is still a vehicle, it's still open top, it's still a walker, still 3 hull points. It is very similar actually to what it used to be, except the target relay has changed. So previously if you shot at a unit, then any other unit from the Necron army that shot at that unit was twin linked. That's gone. It was pretty powerful, it was really good. But that has gone now. So target relay now, basically all units within 6 inches of the Triarch Stalker add 1 to their ballistic skill. They can't do that via snapshot though, but it's still useful, it still works, and if you arm them up maybe with the right units sitting around them, like destroyers or something, could be pretty useful. There was a change though to them, and the big change is you can now have up to 3 Triarch Stalkers in a unit. So it's now 1 to 3. Sounds pretty good. Quite fancy having a unit of those guys on the table, marching forward. Yeah, why not? Obviously, it all depends on how many minis you have. I do only have 1. I'm not in a rush to get more of those, to be fair. I'd rather have another monolith. I'd rather get myself some more Light Guard. But, you know, in the future, that could be worth trying. 3 of those, I think that would be fun. Okay, so I think that's it for this video. Hopefully you can tell that I'm actually really excited about this new Necron Codex. I think the new Codex is going to be a lot of fun. And yes, there's going to be nerfs, yes, it's going to be different, but overall I'm really liking this Codex. Okay, so lots more Necron goodness coming. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching.